Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's Montez McCamish, and you are watching itsmontez.com. I've got a very special interview for you today, but before we tell you who he is, I want to just let everyone know, if you would like to leave your comments in the box, you can do so.
Hey, here in my backyard.
I had to pause that ad. You can do so. Leave it into the comment box at the bottom, and we will answer the questions as soon as we get to them, the best that we can. Today, I've got the title of the show. It's Success the Go Giveaway with Bob Burg. I don't know if you all know who he is, but he's a very influential person. A lot of knowledge to be shared, a lot of knowledge to be had. Bob, I'm going to let you come on and just go ahead and introduce the people. Give them a background about who you are and what you do and things like that.
Well, thanks for having me on. For the last almost 30 years or so, I've been a speaker at sales conferences and leadership conferences and so forth. I've written a few books. One of them co-authored with John David Mann is called The Go Giver, which is a business parable, which tells a story of an up-and-coming, young, ambitious, hardworking, but frustrated businessman named Joe who, through some mentors, learned some valuable skills that helps accelerate his success. And that's sort of our biggest book that has done well, and I know we both enjoy talking about the story and the different success principles that are involved. So it's just a real pleasure to be with you today.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah. So when it came into the book, I was reading a little bit of the intro to the book, or what do you call that? The substance, a bio, if you will. I was reading into it. It seemed very, very interesting coming from another man's standpoint and then writing the story from his standpoint. What gave you the idea to do that?
Well, years ago, I had a book for salespeople called Endless Referrals, Network Your Everyday Contacts into Sales. And it was for people who, they loved what they did. They loved the product or service they represented. They loved the value they brought to others. But when it came to actually building relationships with people, it was a little bit difficult for them. And not everyone has that kind of way of being able to do that. So the book just outlined how to develop what I call the know you, like you, trust you relationships that would help you get in front of more people and be able to sell more of your product or service and have that lead into referrals. Well, that was a traditional how-to book. And through the years, I read a lot of business parables, which are typically short and they're easy to read and they're fun to read and you can learn a good lesson. I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could take the basic idea of endless referrals and turn it into an easy to read business parable? And so I thought, well, the premise of endless referrals was that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. Well, how do you develop those relationships? You give value to everyone who you meet, whose lives you touch. So we came up with the title, The Go Giver. I asked John David Mann, who I knew as a great writer and author, to co-author it with me. He was really the lead writer and the lead storyteller. And so we worked on it together, put the storyline together, and it's been out for a while now and has had some good success.
Well, I heard you just said giving people value. It's so powerful. A lot of people are in the music industry, into blogging, into a lot of things. I'd say beginners, people that are in your teens, if you're like maybe just starting out to doing something. That is critical. Gary Vaynerchuk speaks about it a whole lot as well, giving value to the people. But everybody's like, I want to sell it. I want to sell it. So that whole epiphany thing, that whole giving the value thing, can you go a little bit further deeper in there? Like, a lot of people, they're like, oh, how do I give value? I don't have any value. I don't know any value. Can you go deeper into that for me?
Sure. And everyone does have value. And it's understanding the value you bring to the table that is so important. Now, at first, you may not have a whole lot of people wanting to hire you and pay you money for what you're doing, but there's always a way to build relationships with people. And it's building those relationships that lead to getting the opportunities to provide value in such a way that you'll be compensated financially. So as you said, a blog is a great way to build value and get people to know the kind of value you provide without their having to take a chance in order to consume this value. You can have a talk show like you do and interview people. And when you do that, not only are you bringing the value to your guests, but you're building relationships with the people that you are interviewing. You can bring value to people when you know what they're looking for and you can connect them with someone else. All the while, sure, you're out there selling your products and services, absolutely, but you're also building these relationships. And then when you build these relationships, you're in a position, you've created the environment where you can ask people for advice, or you can ask people to introduce you to someone and do these things. So it's always a matter of looking for, what you can give as opposed to what you can get, right? But that's just the focus. The focus is on the giving, but you also allow yourself the receiving when that time is right.
That was so powerful. I really like that breakdown there. You also need to get the receiving. That's just so much in there. So I think again, people always want to put the roof on the house when it hadn't even had the walls yet. I think it's just really the paradigm of how it's really just been pushed to people. If you look at celebrities and things like that, everything looks like it's just snap, we're there. Everything looks like this, but really the work ethic is so crucial. Could you tell us a little bit about your work ethic?
Well, mine personally, I've been very fortunate to do something that I love. And so it doesn't mean I love it 100% of the time, but it's easy to generally do the work that I need to do to get things done. I think that's why it's important to love something that you do. Now, even when you do, hey, there are times we've got to do things we don't want to do. And we've got to do it. We just have to, because that's part of the game. It's part of what you have to do. But when you find something that you basically really love, it's a lot easier to make yourself do those things you don't always want to do, because most of the time you're doing things you want to do.
It's like I had a video later on. I don't know if any of the viewers, you look back, you look into the video. It's can you make your job your hobby? Could your hobby be your job? Well, I mean, really, if you think about it, that's the way that I think most people should want it.
Why would you want to live any other way? So when you have something that you love to do, that's a great start. Of course, you also need to have some talent in it. So it's something that you're good at as well as what you love. And then finding a way to take what you love and what you're good at and associate that with a marketplace that will pay for it. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. So it's also a business.
It's true. I think that's the hardest part, though. It's finding how to apply it. I've been doing some videos with people and telling them, hey, look, if you want to reach a better audience, or if you're looking to do an audience, I just did one with Emily McGaw. It was talking about Periscope. And she's talking about how it's right here, right now, your get connection with me in my everyday life feeling. That's just one way to stream it out and to get more connections and contacts with people. Can you give us some more ways to put this stuff on a platform? I know you're on LinkedIn. That's a good place to go, but is there any more places?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. I've got pretty good presences there. I don't think we have to be on every platform. In fact, for most people, I think it's counterproductive to be on too many, because you can really be just all over the place doing nothing but that. I think it's good to be on a couple of them that are sort of in your wheelhouse, that allow you to connect with people that's easiest. I think that when we're on social media, I think we have to look at it like any other tool. It's not the thing itself. It's a tool to help build relationships. So we always ask ourselves, regardless of the platform we're on, how do I add value to others? How does this tweet add value? Whether it's retweeting someone else and making a nice comment about it to edify it, or tweeting that person back to let them know you enjoyed it, or when you blog, maybe linking to someone else who does something great so that you're building them while you're providing value to your audience. And so it's always a matter of building the relationship, and the tools are simply that. They're tools to help us build those relationships.
Where can some people go to find these positive relationships? Again, it's these people might be saying, hey, these questions are great, but really it's sometimes we got to hear it. Sometimes we got to really have it put into us. Where are these people found? Of course,
who are the people you want to meet? And when I say who, I don't mean the name of a person, but I mean, what is their, what's the demographic? What's the psychographic? What do they want? What do they like? What are they interested in? And obviously the type of people you're going to reach out to are people who are either your target market or most likely to know people who would be your target market.
You know,
I mean, it really is as simple as that, which doesn't mean it's easy, okay? Because you have to work at it, but it's still a fairly simple process.
and it's true that work ethic is really, again, you have to work. You know, like it's not easy. Like I tell you, reaching out to you was actually quite easy for me. I've reached out to other people, but you're very good at and responsive, and that's a very plus. You know, like a lot of people, 3 days later you'll get an email back from us like, you know what I mean? Like why is it now? Could you tell us, it's weird, but could you tell us more of a reason why people connect through email instead of using Facebook, instead of using all these things? When it comes to a business conversation, it's held in an email. And I want you to tell this so the audience can understand. I know a lot of people, they've come to me and they say, hey, you know, Montez, I've reached out to this person. I've hit them on this social media account. It's not working. Why not? And I'd like you to elaborate that for me.
Well, I think people will communicate in the medium they feel comfortable communicating on. I'm 58 years old, and I'll just tell you, I've never gotten used to texting. Okay. So if someone wants to reach out to me and connect with me, it's not that I won't be responsive when I see it. I just might not see it for a few days. Okay. Right. I just don't have it with me unless I'm on the road speaking and I know I have to have this with me. I don't even think about it, but I'm very responsive on other media. And that's me. And I think what happens is people are going to be more responsive where they feel more comfortable. It's always asking ourselves the question, what does this person want? What are they most comfortable doing? And when we can find that out, now we have a place to really start.
It's really kind of backwards though, right? Like a lot of people think it's me. What do I do for me? But really, I think when people actually take a big step and actually look into it, you're more catering to the people, to whoever's consuming. And I think that's a hard part for people to understand too as well. Like finding out what it is that other people want, well, finding out what it is that other people need. Can you tell us how one might find these things out?
Yeah, that's a great question to discuss. You know, the basic premise of the Go-Giver is that shifting your focus, and this is really the key, shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we don't mean giving things away for free necessarily. We mean constantly and consistently providing value to others. All this means is that your focus is on them. As you said, it's being able to move from an I focus or me focus, as you were saying, to an other focus. In the free marketplace, which simply means no one has to buy from you, okay? No one's going to buy from you because you need the money. They're not going to buy from you because you have a great product and think they should buy. They're not going to buy from you for any reason other than they believe they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. That's a fact of life, and that's okay. It means that in a free market-based economy, it's up to us to communicate that value to them. And we can only do that by focusing on their interests, not our interests. This is why John David Mann and I say that money is simply an echo of value. The value must come first. The value must come first. The money you receive is simply a result of the value you provide. So when it comes to interacting with someone else, the biggest thing we can do is discover, let's put it this way, what is selling, okay? Selling is simply discovering what the other person wants, needs, or desires, and helping them to get it. So we're going to match the benefits of what we sell, of our product or service, with what they need, want, or desire. And to the degree we do that and focus on that, that's the degree we're going to have people doing business with us.
I'm gonna tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, Bob Burg is putting a method to the madness. And if you haven't picked up the book, The Go Giver, you need to do so. If you all are just now tuning into the show, we are talking very much into providing content for other people, being able to really give someone value and finding what is value, what your value is, and being able to give it to the people. Bob stated, like I've told you all before, you can do this inside a blog. You can do this on a podcast. Hey, Bob, you have a podcast, don't you?
Yeah.
Could you tell us about it?
Yeah, well, it's called the Go Giver Podcast. I always build everything right around the brand, right? And these are typically about 25 minutes. It begins with me doing a thought of the day, which usually is about 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then we have a commercial break where we promote one of our programs, the Go Giver Sales Academy. And then I usually have a special guest. And this guest will, usually the interviews are about 15 minutes. I find that rather than the long shows that people have to listen all the way through, I figured, someone can listen for 20 to 25 minutes to a show and not get tired of it if they like the information. So we keep it to about that. And so we bring on guests talking about sales, about leadership, about personal development, about communication skills. And we try to make the shows fun and impactful and really interesting with great guests.
Well, that's pretty interesting there. The Go Giver. So the book, when we get to the book and we get to the podcast, when we're coming up with the ideas and what's going in through your head. So you have the book made and then you're like, oh, I want to expand this. Tell me about it.
Well, everything sort of at this point begins with people reading the Go Giver. And when they read the Go Giver, our URL is in the back. So they'll come to the gogiver.com where they see that they can see the videos that we have on there. They can buy my other books if they'd like. And we always give away a chapter for free so that they can get a taste of it and see if they like it first. And then if they do, they'll buy. They can subscribe to the podcast, which again, on the podcast, we have commercials for our Go Giver Sales Academy. And then of course there's my speaking, and we have a team of certified Go Giver speakers and we sell the rights for people to be able to do that. We teach them how to have a speaking career. So it all begins with and of course the content is free. Of course, the podcast. I also have a blog at burg.com, which then again redirects people to the Go Giver page. So everything is built around that. It's sort of like when you see a boxer who everything they do, every punch they throw, it's two things. One is to protect themselves, that's to strike the blow, but it also sets themselves up for the next punch.
I see.
And then the next punch. So that's just strategic. That's just the way we build everything around the brand.
That's very nice. That I like that you got in depth with that. And so, like, people, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in, building through having the book, placing the book, and then having another way for you to go here to find out more information about this, find out more information about there. It's all about having to mix and match to cause causes for different things. And that's so key and so crucial. I think that's a big reason why a lot of people don't and aren't successful in what they're trying to do, is because they're missing the piece of the puzzle. It's a major piece of the puzzle. It has to go in a circle. It can't go,
Sure.
It's got to be. I liked when you were telling me, you said you give a chapter for free. That was interesting. I've not heard it like this before. That's a great way to market the book. I'll give you a free chapter. Tell me what you think about it. And if you like it, you probably want to buy it.
Yeah, well, they can click right through to Amazon if they like it. Now, if they don't like it, they're not going to click through, but I wouldn't want them to get something they don't like. So it kind of serves a double purpose.
I think that is so awesome. So you gave the Go Giver away, right? Tell me a little bit about the marketing plan for that. Like, just a little bit of elaborate, like.
Well, before the book came out, we had already had a pretty decent sized platform. A lot of people on social media that would, and people who I created relationships with that helped promote the book, wrote a lot of blog posts, guest blogs on other people's blogs. I'm interviewed constantly. The book's been out for almost 9 years now, and I still do 1 or 2 interviews a day, including this one. So I'm always promoting the book. Now, the way I do it is to provide lots of value, because my feeling is when you give away a lot of value, people understand that there's a lot more value to, to be able to receive from you. And I know that not everyone's going to buy the book or want to do business with me. Not everyone has to, and not everyone should. But when we promote constantly and continually, always focused on giving value, then the people who should do business with us and will benefit from doing business with us, those are the people who will, whether it's simply buying a book or buying several books or coming to one of my programs or having me speak at it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, how do you know what's like? I mean, like, you want to keep some secrets, right? You don't want to give out all the juices and stuff. But how do you go about telling people whatever you want to tell them? Like, what stuff do you usually keep, and what stuff do you usually give? And how do you find out what to give, and not like a taste of it? Like how you said you gave it a taste of a chapter. I mean, but how do you differentiate it?
Yeah, I mean, we're not giving the whole book away, but we're giving a chapter away. And so, and even when we talk about when I'm on an interview and talk about the 5 laws, I'll talk a lot about the laws. But I know that when somebody comes to one of our events, okay, and they've got it's 2 full days with me as well as my business partner and business strategist, Kathy Tajanel, I know that they can't get that information in the book because a book isn't equipped to work with someone, helping them to implement specifically to the, so there are different levels. My blog at burg.com has something like 500 or 450 articles. People can get those for free, and I want them to. But that they also know that that there's a lot more. I think people just know it. And so I don't think you can be afraid of giving away too much, but I think you need to not do something. If it's self-sacrificial, it's not right. It's not correct. It doesn't mean you allow yourself to be used and abused and that you're some kind of martyr. No, that's not what it is. You're giving a lot of value, understanding that first, it's a great way to do business. And the more value you can give, the more value people want from you. And they're going to be willing, again, a certain number of those people are going to be willing to pay you for that increased additional value.
No, I see. That's a very well answered question. Now, as far as like doing business and getting and growing your business and things like that, like there's sometimes like where there's people we want to take in as business partners. Now, when we're taking in these people as business partners, how do we know how much to let the business partner know? Like, I mean, okay, so I know that like as in business people, we have to have the same kind of thoughts running through each other. But then, like, say we hire a employee, and we're giving out the free advice. We're giving out the free advice to people from that are hired onto the business that me and my business partner had made. They take off the information and run off and go sell it, or they run off and go do this. How do you keep that from happening? And has that happened to you?
Well, it's a great question, because the fact is that does happen. I mean, you can't deny it's going to happen, but I also think that you can't live your life in fear of that happening. If you're taking on an employee, it's important that they do know the way the business runs and the operations part of the business. Again, now it depends. There's different things and different things people do need to know. But by and large, if I don't feel I can trust an employee, I don't want to have them with me. If I can't trust a business partner, I don't want to do business with that business partner. And I realize there's different situations and circumstances, so I don't want to paint too broad a picture or paint with too broad a brush, if you will. But I think more or less, rather than worry about being taken advantage of, do the thing. And, again, that doesn't mean put yourself in a position to be taken advantage of. Pay attention,
right?
But don't run your life out of lack and out of paranoia, or indeed you won't be taken advantage of, but you'll never accomplish anything either, because there's a certain point you've got to be able to trust people.
I see. That's very nice. When do you
not blindly? People still have to earn your trust.
When do you take a situation from free to cost?
Sure. Yeah. Well, remember, free is a strategy. Okay. When you give away some value for free, whether it's a free report, whether it's a chapter of a book, whether it's a 15-minute consultation for free, Okay. That's not being a go-giver, and it's not being a go-giver. Okay. It just simply means it's a strategy you're using in order to communicate value and get this person to feel comfortable with you, to understand who you are, to know what kind of value you can potentially bring to them. Okay. You move from free to fee once the free stuff has served the purpose of the know, like, and trust.
So it's like a key reaction, you'd say?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. What do you mean by key reaction?
Okay, so like they get the value, they're like, man, I love the value. I love this. I love this. I gotta buy it. You know what I mean? Does it
Right. And maybe that's the case, but maybe for other people it's going to take longer for that to happen, maybe shorter. Maybe some people are never going to buy from you, but they're going to want your free stuff. And again, you're not giving away the store, you're not giving away information that they couldn't otherwise, or you're giving away other information that they can't get other information from you that you do have to charge for. Remember, you've got to respect your own value. Again, I always want people to make sure nothing about being a go-giver is about being a doormat. It's not about being self-sacrificial. Go-givers make a great profit because they're more focused on selling on value.
That's very nice. I really like that. Don't be a doormat, but you can still.
No, it has nothing to do with being a go-giver.
Right, lay down, let me walk all over you.
Right, that's not what we're talking about.
It's just not gonna work. That was a very intellect conversation right there. It's some point in time you're gonna have to find out. Hey, look, hey. So it's really baiting someone, if you will. I'm gonna bait you to come here, almost like these people do with the articles. They'll
I
write.
would say attract. Because bait almost sounds like it's tricking them or something, or you're
Right.
It's not that, but you're attracting them. You're attracting them with value that you're putting out there for them. And again, it's the right people, or a certain percentage of them will be the right people who will want more. Sometimes the people who want that's all they're going to do. And again, that's okay. But you don't have to do business with everyone to be very, very successful. You just have to do business with a certain number of people.
Oh, I see.
But you can attract a whole lot of people, and that's fine. Attraction marketing is a great way to do it.
That's very nice. So attraction marketing and looking at these marketing aspects and stuff like that, what would you say is your favorite way to market?
What would I say is what?
What is your favorite way to market?
Excuse me. I would say creating content and placing it different places, excuse me, where people will see it and then want to learn more about me and more about the additional content I provide. Because they're kind of raising their hands and saying, yeah, I'm interested in knowing more.
Right, I see. You see the sheer interest inside of it whenever things are really going in this manner, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your favorite place to speak at? I don't know. That's a weird question, but
no, it's a good question. I like speaking at sales conferences because I love sales and I love talking about sales and discussing sales. And so, sales are my sales conferences. I love speaking at direct sales conferences or corporate sales conferences. Entrepreneurial events are a lot of fun to speak at because I'm an entrepreneur by nature. And so I think those are my favorites.
Now, so was this always the way you were? Or were you always like this? Has this always been how you've been wired? Because a lot of people are like, Montez, it's not always about the money. It's not, you need to stop thinking about this. You need to stop thinking about the computer. It's not always about your computer. It's not always about networking. It's not always about talking to people. And me, personally, I think that's really what it's all about. I can't help it. It's just the way I am. But for you, could you tell me?
To me, I think it's all about feeling as though I'm adding value to people's lives while doing something that I enjoy. And the money has been a result of that. Again, money is an echo of value. So the focus has never been on the money. The money has been the result, which doesn't mean I don't respect money and want to make money. I'm a free market capitalist. I believe that when you can provide value to the lives of a lot of people, you've earned the right to have money coming in and money flowing. But that's never been my focus. My focus has been on providing value to others while doing something that I love.
Would you say it's addicting?
Well, so here's the thing. When we talk about words, addicting can be looked at as, a negative. We're addicted to something.
Right.
I would say we enjoy it and really love it. But I never want to feel as though I'm addicted to or attached to something. But I know what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. It's like a positive kind of addiction. But just like this, with what the things I've read and learned, I guess I don't use the word addicted to in a positive sense. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
to me, to be addicted to or attached to something is a negative, whereas to really prefer and enjoy something to me is a positive. But I know what you mean, and yes, I agree with the concept.
Now, as far as like your work and what you're doing, like a lot of people say, hey, you need to take a lot of time, spend more time resting, sleeping, doing things like that. I saw you did an interview with Arianna
Huffington. Yeah, she wrote a great book, The Sleep Revolution.
That was a very. I watched her on Gary Vaynerchuk as well, and she was talking about that with Gary, how Gary needs to do more sleeping and less working. But tell us about the work. Like, I mean, because I know, I think I kind of get a sense of it. Like, again, I'm growing. I'm still going through the process of learning these things, and as in my entrepreneurship grows, I'm starting to see now that
we're all hopefully always continuing to grow. It never stops. Never stops.
And so, like, when I'm going through these stages and things, I really do find myself like, I just want to work more. I want to get further. There's more to be done. There's not enough. So for you, how do you fight the situation? Like, sometimes do you ever just, all right, I got to close the computer down, or just bloop, I can't no more. Like, what's your turn off? What's your turn on?
But I mean, I love what I do. So I find enjoyment in it. But I'm not a workaholic by any means. It's just that I love what I do. And so I think that's part of where we want to be, so that our work is our joy, and our joy is our work. But no, I also have plenty of time. And at 58 years old, as I get older and older, I give myself a lot more time. I sleep more than I used to. Arianna taught me a lot about that. And after reading her book, actually, I read a book of hers a few years ago that came out. I'm trying to think of the name of it, and I apologize, I'm not recalling. But she talked about sleep in there too, and that's where she really introduced me to the idea of that I really needed to focus more and make sleep a priority. So yeah, as excited as I know you are about what you're doing right now, make sure you get that at least 7 hours, 7.5 hours, hopefully 8. Very, very important.
Yeah,
listen to Arianna.
It's hard. It's hard. I think the excitement of growth. I think that's what it is. Like, if you aren't excited with growing, like, I think you're missing out. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the best stuff. Like, I don't know. I really like when I'll get an interview, or I'll get someone on the show that be like, and they're an influential person like you. I got you on the show, and I just, yes. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm accomplishing. And then I sure going through setting up the show and doing this and through the emails and so on and so forth. It's stressful, but I really can say I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. So it's true. It's better to do something you enjoy than it is.
Absolutely.
Now, as far as you yourself, what do you do for a hobby? What do you do for fun? I mean, we work, I know that's what you say, but I mean, what do you do for fun? Like golf, any of that?
No, I love to read. It's funny. I live a couple of blocks from the ocean, and I don't ocean. I don't go to the beach a lot, and I don't boat or anything. I actually live on a golf course, and I don't golf. So, but I love to read, and I'd say I do that probably as a hobby more than anything else. There's a few TV shows I really enjoy, and that's pretty much it. I don't do a whole lot of stuff.
Well, so as far as reading, I remember my mom, she would read Louis L'Amour, and she was so into reading. Like, she got like all of his books, and they were like gold paged at the end. And she was like really into the man. I bought her a book. What type of books do you like to read?
I like to read books on sales and marketing. I like to read on communication skills. I like to read on politics. economics, not boring economics, really good books that talk about economic principles. I love reading biographies of people because you can really learn so much from studying people who've been successful. To read history. So, all those things are just what I enjoy.
It's so true. Like, you are what you eat. Like I'd say all the consumption that you take in, all this stuff, and then you put it right back out, huh? Like inside your book. So I think that's how it works, right?
Yeah. Well, Charlie Jones, one of my favorite speakers and mentors from years ago, he said, and I don't think I'm quoting this totally right, so pardon me, but it was along the lines of, you'll be the same person 5 years from now as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. So I think that's a worthy saying to follow.
I can agree with that. Like,
Montez, I'm losing you. I'm not. Are we still connected?
Yeah, we're still connected.
Okay, I just heard you. Just picked you back up. Okay, lost you for a few seconds.
Oh wow. I said, so as far as when we get into the book and you being a reader and things like that, and you writing the book, did you co-write that book?
Yeah, this one, the Go Giver, and Go Giver Leader and Go Givers Sell More. Those 3 books I co-wrote with John David Mann. He was really the lead writer. He's an expert. He's a fantastic writer. Other books I've written, Endless Referrals, I wrote myself. My Adversaries into Allies, I wrote myself, and a couple of others. Though I've always had very good editors that have worked with me. But it can be a great experience co-authoring with someone, but there's a lot of times people have had bad experiences co-authoring with people. But John's such a pleasure to work with. He's not only brilliant, but he's very humble and he's very easy to work with. And these books have really been a pleasure doing those with John.
Yeah. So did you always want to be a writer? Was this something you always loved?
No, I actually started out as a radio sportscaster and then a television news anchor in a very small market. I wasn't very good as a newscaster, I'm afraid, and that's when I got into sales. But I started to really study sales and read books on sales and go to conventions on sales. And I started to get kind of good at that. I worked my way up and began teaching others how to do what was working for me, and eventually began speaking on the topic. The reason I wrote the first book, the reason I wrote Endless Referrals, is because it was suggested to me by members of the National Speakers Association, which I had joined, that you really needed to write a book in terms of credibility and positioning and higher fees and so forth. And that's why I wrote the first one. It was simply for the purposes of better positioning. After that, some of the books I wrote were because I kind of felt I had something to say that I wanted to say through a book. And then, the Go Giver was because I just thought it would be really cool to be able to share the Endless Referrals message in a parable form. And fortunately, John agreed to work on that with me. So that's why those happened. So kind of different reasons, different books.
Now, as far as for authors and stuff like that, because I do have a lot of people that come on and they'll watch the shows, and how as far as distribution, can you give some points for the authors to get distribution, like deals or like maybe some type of way? Like, there's a girl, she came up with this idea, and she goes, if you were to go to the library and request the book at the library will buy the book. So then you just go around to all these libraries. She said, you just start asking the library.
Quite a while, but yeah, you could, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's the way you really want to go about it, but hey, it'll.
No, but it's a good idea in that what she's doing, she's being very proactive about it. I'm not sure how much it scales in terms of how much any one person can get, but there's certainly, there are lists you can get of libraries, and you could write to them. I think really, first of all, if you work through a traditional publishing house, they're going to handle the distribution through the bookstores.
Well, see, we have a lot of authors that are just doing independent. A lot of people are wanting to be independent authors and doing their own thing.
Right. One book I would suggest people get is called 1,000 Ways to Market Your Book. It's by a guy by the name of John Kremer, Johnkremer. You can do a Google search for him. His book, 1,001 Ways to Market Your Book. In fact, I just bought his last edition because he updates it every few years. And it's very valuable. So he'll have a lot of ways of showing you how you can do those very same things.
That's a very good way to answer this question.
Remember, regardless of whether a traditional publisher publishes your book and takes care of the distribution, or you independently publish and have it on Amazon, which is a great distribution place, it's still up to you to do the promotion and marketing of it. No one's going to do that for you.
Well, see, I think that's another big thing we should set on for a little bit and talk about promotion and marketing. Like, a lot of people, they're like, I'll just buy someone that will market my things. I'll buy Twitter followers, or I'll buy YouTube subscribers. like, can you tell some of the reasons why one shouldn't? Just like to give these people some knowledge here.
Well, first, buying Twitter followers is frowned upon, and they can remove your account if they know you're doing that, if their sensors can tell, if the robots can tell. But also, you're not really buying followers that are interested in you. So it's not as though any relationships are being created in that way. So no, you want to build, Warren Whitlock has, I think, the Twitter Revolution, and Joel Comm has a book called Twitter Power, which are great for how to build your Twitter profile and connect with people. There are books on how to work with Facebook and LinkedIn, but you can figure those things out a lot as well. But when it comes to the marketing, well, there's no one thing, right? There's sort of a lot of things. It's you look at it as a business like anything else. You have a target market. You figure out how you reach that target market, how you attract people to want to know more about you. I would say when you're promoting your book, if you can build a whole lot of relationships first with people who are more likely to help you market that book, and make sure you get them a galley copy of it or an online copy that they'll read and maybe get behind, have a whole bunch of articles pre-written of different links, 250 words, 500 words, 750 words, so that you can offer them to different blogs that sort of attract the same type of demographic you're looking to attract.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, get on as many podcasts as you can. Have a podcast and but so keep building. Really, and start to speak locally, speak for different groups and organizations, even for free, that will have you speak for 20, 25 minutes, and you can sell your book there. And again, John's book, 1,001 Ways to Market Your Book, is going to give you, about 1,001 ways to market your book. So that's going to be, but there's a bunch of people online you can look for and get advice, but be very careful about, paying someone who's going to do your marketing. No, it's not going to happen. So take that money and invest it in doing the right things and learning the right things, but don't think someone else is going to have as much energy into marketing your book as you are.
Right. It's like no one's going to care about it more than you.
Right. Now, there's people out there who you can pay to market you on getting you on interviews and sure. Figure out if that's a person who's going to, because remember, there's always a cost-benefit analysis. Is this worth how much of my time is it worth for me to do this when I could be doing this? Can I pay someone to do this? And that's more of a benefit to me than taking the time and energy to do it myself. There's all these decisions, but when it comes right down to it, don't put your marketing in one person's or one organization's hands, because they don't care about it as much as you care about it.
It's so powerful, so powerful. It's almost like you're just talking about time. Uber buys time, right? Like, he gives you the time to do this, but it's expensive. It's just that, how much do you really want to pay for it? Exactly. So I can so dig that. But we're getting ready to close down on the interview. I actually, at the end of the show,
you're a great interviewer, by the way. You asked some fantastic questions.
I really appreciate it, Bob, and I'm so thankful for you being on my show. I'm getting better. I have John Pounders. He's kind of like, he runs Now You See TV. So he's kind of like helped me shape myself, give me what I'm going to do, kind of like a plan, if you will. And he wrote it out, and he was like, now you do it. I'll teach you how to fish, but I'm not going to fish for you.
Well, that's key. And that's why someone like yourself who is willing to take action is someone who's going to continually get better and better and better at what he does. So, you know, you find your mentors, you find your coaches, you find the people that you want to learn from, and then you apply the information. And applying the information is just so important, because without action, nothing gets done.
And it's so true. You can talk about it all you want. Hot air, hot air, hot air. Stop talking and do. Like, I mean, that's the biggest, I don't know. I guess we're all wired different again. It's one of those things, we're all wired different. But I really appreciate that compliment. It means a whole lot to me. It lets me know that I'm actually getting better. So I really appreciate that. But at the end of the show, I usually have you ask a question, have the guest ask a question to the audience. I'm not stealing it from anyone, not stealing it from Gary Vee, but I thought it was just perfect. It was like, hey, look, that's great, you know? So is there a question that you would like to ask the audience, any question, and they'll answer it, hopefully, they'll answer it into the comment box. And maybe, hey, we'll be able to come back and get the feedback from it, and it'll be pretty cool, so.
Well, and I can't see comments because I wasn't able to get on both pages, so I'm not going to be able to see it. So, but I'll go look for it, you know, later on. But a question I would ask to the audience, I guess I would ask the question, you know, what are you really wanting to do? What's your, as Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, what's your definitive goal? What is it that you really desire? And then what are you willing to do? What work are you willing to put into it? What are you willing to learn? What are you willing to put into it in order to make it happen? So
what is your ultimate desire? And what are you willing to grab it? Or what are you going to do to put it in your possession?
Exactly.
Powerful stuff. Bob, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's been great. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. You have just heard lots of powerful information from Bob Burg. We have a live show. It streams on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can come in, watch the show. It's called Get This Knowledge, where John Pounders and me talk about powerful topics. Again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Did you like the content? Share the content. Thank you so much. Itsmontez.com. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you don't do that, you can't keep up. Duh.